Your recent appointment to this one of our vital utility companies in Guyana, which plays a major role in the lives of Guyanese. Overall, to support government's developmental agenda, can you share with us what is your vision, what is your plan?
Well, certainly. As you know, water is essential to life. It is an issue that is related to the health of our people. It's related to the productive sector. And therefore, in terms of the vision, first and foremost is to ensure that there is access to water resources which are equitable access, that is, and of a good quality, to afford a good quality of life, whether you are at work in your community, playing, or wherever you are. So basically that's the vision, to ensure there is good access and a good quality of the product across the country.
What would be some of the main areas of emphasis that you'd be focusing on almost immediately?
Well, we do have a challenge in terms of the access within the communities, people not having adequate water supply into their homes, the commercial access also, and therefore the critical focus is to seek to ensure that the supply can match the demand. Having said that, one of the issues that we are challenged with is a number of leaks and the loss of water in the system, which also contributes to the reduction in pressure. So you will find that many Guyanese will say, well, look, and you see our landscape is dotted with a lot of these black storage tanks, for good reason, that we have not been able to have a good supply at all times, and the pressure within the system. Now, it is not singularly an issue related to GWI, because as you know, without electricity, our pumps cannot function. And so a lot of these issues that sometimes are related, not all, to GPL's production. And within the distribution system, we're plagued with many leaks which have not been addressed over time. So we do have those challenges, and therefore we have to focus on it. The other thing is the quality of the product. We have not been doing enough water quality analysis, and in essence sharing that information with our consumer base, the general public, and that to my mind becomes an important issue. So we are now embarking, and then the other point I would say is the economic viability of the entity. And so we are challenged on that front also, but we are moving with haste to address all of these factors.
Are we looking at strengthening interagency collaboration? For example, you mentioned GPL, but there have been problems in the past, and some continue to exist. For example, GWI will come, our road is going to be fixed in this community. Then GWI comes and the road is dug up to install GWI infrastructure. Are we looking at sorting out the logistics at the interagency level before we go out putting our infrastructure down on the ground?
Well, that is a critical issue which has to be addressed. I would say to you, in the past week, we have had a number of mains broken in Region 5, for example, in Region 4, by contractors of other agencies. And what we feel that there needs to be that interagency collaboration. But we also would like to share our distribution network with the regional administrations, because they have contractors also doing things. So they need to know exactly where our water lines are. And GPL, if they're doing work, they need to know where the distribution mains are. So there is need for closer collaboration to avoid a lot of the disruption in service which is due to other agencies impacting on the services with the breakage of the mains, etc.
But with you now at the helm of GWI, can we see a change in what happened in the past? Can
Well,
we see?
certainly, because only yesterday I was speaking to the infrastructure staff about ensuring that the regional administration, for example, has access to the distribution system within the region. And we are going to be, we've already had some meetings with, well, one meeting with GPL, and we have to look at some of the other partners who are going to be doing work in the different regions. But because the regional administration is the main focus of work in the regions, and they also have contractors, we believe that dialogue, and I've already started to move around. I've been to Region 6, Region 3, Region 8 already, and I'm due to go to Region 7 on the 24th of this month, and then on to Region 9, and I've been in Region 10. So, and what I've said to the staff is we need to have very close collaboration so that our staff and the regions that I've visited already have already agreed that our staff will participate in the interagency meetings of the regional democratic councils.
Let us talk a little bit about the housing development. With the advent of the coalition government 2020 vision for housing and the overall developmental agenda, in terms of GWI's work, how do you intend to service all these schemes? What is the plan, the rollout plan? With putting in infrastructure, some would have already been established in those already established schemes, but those that are going to come on stream, how are we looking at providing potable access to potable water to the residents of these schemes?
Well, that obviously, the good thing about it is that we fall under one umbrella, the Ministry of Communities, and it calls for an integrated planning process, looking forward for new schemes that are going to be emerging. Obviously, clearly working out what is the population that will be in this scheme, and ensuring that the supply of water matches the demand of the population. That's one. The other thing which, we are not only dealing with water, but we're dealing with the sewage system, etc. And I've already began having a discussion in trying to move away from the plethora of septic tanks within the system. Each housing scheme as we go forward should have its own compact sewage treatment plant. And therefore, that is where we are thinking of moving now, and that calls for the collaboration with the Ministry of Housing. We've had an initial discussion, and we have to move forward in that. To my mind, it improves the environmental conditions, it contributes to better health. When you've got a lot of septic tanks which are not maintained, at least you see it more prevalent in Georgetown in terms of the high incidence of the Culex mosquito, which is the vector for filariasis. So the close collaboration between ourselves and the Ministry of Housing, I think, will contribute to being able to address this issue of a more integrated approach.
With regard to coastal vision, what currently obtains? What are some of the plans to ensure that communities, regions in the current system benefits from a better quality of water produced by GWI and better service?
Well, I would say that our remit is for service to the population across the country. I think the President is very clear in terms of taking an equitable approach and reducing any divide between rural and urban, and therefore rolling out in 2016, there are going to be a number of wells across the coast. And before, as we come to the end of 2015, you've got about 3 new wells for the coast, and we will continue to look at where populations are and try to ensure that, and these are all groundwater wells, are serviced. Now, what has happened in the past, you get your water from an A sand well or a B sand well. The B sand well is much deeper and probably has a better quality of water than the A sand well. The quality from the point of view, in the A sand well there is more iron. That's why you see along the coastal plain the redness in the water. Now, we are, before the end of this year, we are conducting some research with a new chemical, which would more or less, we hope, and based on results in other countries, trap the iron, and so we should see, and we expect a better quality of water for the coastal plain where the iron content is very high, because they've got a number of A sand wells, and what is happening is the system, these wells are established, but there are no treatment plants. So with this new technology, we should be able to arrest that, trap the iron, and at the same time be able, most likely, to chlorinate the system so the water will be of a better quality. We should, we have allotted the resources already. This is a result of 2 staff members who participated in a workshop in the Bahamas, Dwayne Shako and Ms. Canterbury, and they came back, they presented, and since I'm here, we made the decision, because it is an irritant and a problem. In many communities, you're unable to wash your white clothing with the water that comes from the wells. Your toilet bowls, your sinks are stained because of that water. So it is something that has to be addressed urgently, and I'm hoping that as we break into 2016, this will be behind us as we move forward.
If I may, hinterland water distribution. The interior has always been a challenge, not only for GWI, but any other agency installing infrastructure. What plans are there at GWI's level for the additional installation of water distribution networks? They have the wells and that sort of thing. What is your plan for hinterland water?
Well, the issue is, when I joined last month, I met a number of wells being placed in the hinterland communities under the Basic Needs Trust Fund, etc. And one has to continue to look at those wells. The hinterland has been a place generally where not much water quality analysis has been going. So since I've come on board, I've asked the laboratory staff to begin testing aggressively, because we need to have the baseline for the hinterland, as we do, and we will start an aggressive program also on the coast, so that you will see across the country a more decentralized approach to testing the water and making the results available to the public. So that is going to be a program. So, but I just came back from Madhya, where there's a challenge, and we have to ensure that Madhya, which is going to become a town, also has adequate water supply, and the communities around it. Not the fact that it's going to become a town that we're going to do it, but we are presently looking at introducing a number of reservoirs and systems to ensure that the population within the hinterland, as I said, taking the cue from the president, of removing that disparity between the urban and rural populations. So we have to move forward. We are presently planning. As we speak, an engineer is heading into Madia to address some of the findings which came out of our visit just a week ago. The Salbora Creek, that has to be addressed, and to look at the population. But we do have a challenge in the hinterland too, with some mining activities that we are hoping to have already reached out to the Mining Association, and I hope to have a dialogue with them very soon in terms of how we work with the miners in the use of their the mercury, etc., so it doesn't contaminate the system, especially if we're using surface water to supply to the population.
What are some, I know you're new, but what are some of the challenges affecting GWI's work?
There are two basic challenges, I think. I think one is the non-revenue water, the physical water loss, which is related to the leaks that exist. There is a significant water loss as a result of the leaks. And two, the other issue is getting the customers to pay on a timely basis. So that has to deal with the internal efficiency of GWI. So you will see now we're moving to a monthly billing system, and effective, we're now preparing the system so that everyone, my vision is that everyone will have their bill in their hands in 28 days. And I am not in support of aging debt. So you will have your bill on time, you need to pay on time, and if you're not paying on time, well, then the necessary actions will take place. But it's a significant outstanding debt that we have across the country. We've just established a debt recovery unit again, and that is moving apace to ensure that all of the customers who are indebted should pay. But we're trying to be fair in this process, so we are saying to customers, look, who are indebted, come in, we are going to work with you in terms of a payment plan for a period of 2 years, but you need to maintain the current account, and we can go forward. If you cannot do that, then you cannot have the service. But that doesn't mean to say that you cannot serve the service into your home, but that doesn't mean health is a critical issue. So in communities, as we did in Sophia, we provided standpipes so people can have access to water. A number of communities have come to me in the last 2 weeks and have written to me. You have communities along the coast in Ants Grove, Paradise, Kurukururu Farm, and you can go on, who do not have access. As you would recall, I was in Raihid, the Budan scheme, and we came to a good solution. I hope to engage the population, the community, in discussing the way forward, sharing the burden, and ensuring that the community can have access to the water that they need. I should say to you that critical for us, and I've given this instruction to the division managers, that all schools, we have to ensure that all schools must have access to potable water at all times. And so that is a critical indicator in terms of the performance of the system. And we are preparing now to have the call center operational, linked to emergency teams in each of the regions, so that people can respond in a timely basis if there is a problem in one region or the other. So we're trying to ensure that these efficiencies are in place so that the public, because this has to be a people-focused entity providing a service to the people, because that's the mission and the vision of the organization.
With that said, are we looking at more aggressive public awareness in terms of getting the ordinary Guyanese to understand that this is your role in order for the GWI to function effectively?
Yes, and this has to be a partnership with the community, a partnership with the different agencies. And I think the role of monitoring and evaluating the service is at the community level. And they have to be the sounding the early bell as to if there's a disruption in the service, if there's a leakage. We expect the community to inform us on a timely basis. And I think they have been doing in some regard. I've been receiving calls myself, passing it on to the teams, and they are responding. So I would say, I want to say that I have met a good crew of people, technicians, professionals in GWI across, in the main. But the community's role, we've had a challenge as we go into the community to look for leaks. Only last week, this week, on the coast, one of our engineers, someone, as they went around to look to find the leaks, because we're trying to resuscitate all of the tanks. So we're now starting on LBI, and they were moving into the community to look at the tanks, for leaks, and one person was obviously not happy and approached the engineer with the scissors. So that has caused the engineer to panic, and actually the engineer has tendered his resignation. So our work is dependent on the collaboration with the community. The community needs to understand that we need to read their meters. We need to enter the community to check the mains. We need their cooperation. If we cannot enter the community in a peaceful manner, then we cannot improve the service. So partnership with the community becomes very, very critical. In the main, communities have been cooperating, but you always have outliers, and we have to continue to work with them. In some communities, we will seek the involvement of the police force in working with us to ensure that we can effect our work in a nice, normal, quiet manner.
And finally, if I may get you to tell me, we have almost a month and a little over for 2015 to complete. But immediate plans for GWI, what can we see early 2016?
2016, I think you will see an improvement in the pressure in the system across the country. I think you will begin to see an improvement in the quality of the product across the country. And as I said to you, especially along the coast, once the research which we are about to do with the A sand wells, which has a high iron content, once we're successful with that, you would see a totally different product coming out of the wells. We are dependent on our electrical supply. So the disruptions that you may find from time to time may be due to disruptions in the power supply. Part of our problem especially is in Region 3, which has a fluctuation of voltage supplied by GPL. And so we are looking to have some collaboration. I've met with Guy Suko in the interim to see how best we can get electricity supply for our pumps. Because the pumps are very sensitive with the fluctuation of the voltage. So that is a critical aspect for us, and therefore we understand also that GPL has its issues, and we have to work together in providing the service to the community. But you're also going to be seeing an increased level of metering, and we are looking at different modalities to be able to read those meters. There are some premises that we've got difficulties entering. We have to deal with that, and we are presently discussing different technological approaches to permit our staff to read the meters on a timely basis. In terms of the leak detection, only this morning there was a company here talking to us, and they were telling us about a new technology. So in each division, come 2016, you're going to see an aggressive approach to reducing leaks across each area, each region. And therefore, once you reduce that, you reduce the loss of water, you improve the pressure, and therefore we hope that our standards are that the supply that we give you should be able to get to approximately between 15 to 20 feet, which means to your second floor in your home. If you've got a house that is has many more floors, then you have to work with us. We will work with you in having you put in the pumps, etc. And the other thing that we are going to focus on is the types of materials to connect, because we want to ensure that the materials that we recommend are used, the plumbing, both internally and the connections, because some PVC pipes which are available are not are not in accordance with the standards of GWI, and therefore we are going to be doing a program very soon on television with the engineers to demonstrate to the public what are the standards, what are the requirements. And so this is an ongoing dialogue which we are going to have with the population.
Thank you very much, sir.
It's a pleasure.